What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure the subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, this is a video. Hopefully, I don't have to do more than 3 of these, but it's an AFC North opponent outlook because the Cleveland Browns just made a significant trade, adding Zadarius Smith to the team. Former Raven legend, almost resigned to the Ravens recently, and then backed out, and then ended up signing with the Minnesota Vikings. Funny enough, I don't know if any of you guys remember this. If you're, viewers of the channel for, over a year, I put out a video when the Ravens signed Zadarius Smith, and then the next day he backed out. I put out another video saying that he backed out. I don't know why, but I was looking at these 2 videos yesterday, and the total view count is 6 in separating the 2 videos. Almost the exact same amount of people watched both videos, which I thought was just kind of random. I thought it was really funny. I do appreciate everybody that watches, but the one where Zadarius Smith signed had 6 more views than the one that he backed out of the contract. But this kind of series is basically just to look at, okay, what are the Ravens going to be dealing with? How are they going to match up? And, I think talking about the Steelers, talking about the Bengals and Browns is always interesting because we play them twice a year. These are our biggest rivals. And when they make significant moves or they just have significantly good players, they're good to talk about because this is a good division. This is probably the best division in the NFL. I would argue it is. I don't even know who anybody else would argue, but there's some good divisions out there. The NFC East was pretty good last year, so you could argue them. But let's go over it because this team is, I think, pretty underrated overall because they're the Cleveland Browns. That's not me saying they're great, but obviously last year they had the return of Deshaun Watson. This year he's back. I think this year he's going to be a lot better. He came in and it was like his first game that he had played in like a year and a half. He wasn't allowed to practice. He wasn't able to do anything, which I'm very pro suspension. I have no problem with that suspension. But he came back, looked a little bit slow. A lot of people were like, oh, Jacoby Brissett was better. No, they were just trying to get Watson back into the groove. Well, all right. They did that. Now he's starting a new season, gets a full off season. They still have Amari Cooper. They still have Donovan Peoples-Jones. They add Elijah Moore, who I think is a very solid wide receiver that was unhappy in New York. They draft Cedric Tillman. I know a lot of people really liked him. They actually signed Marquise Goodwin, who very good deep threat. I believe he has a 3rd medal in the Olympic hurdles. He has or bronze medal. I don't know why I said 3rd medal. Then they obviously have a couple of other players on the offensive side of the ball. They have a great running game. They have good offensive line. They have, obviously Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. We don't know if Kareem Hunt's going to end up staying with the team. So it's like kind of a, wash on whether or not he's going to be back there, but they have Nick Chubb. He's a top 7 running back. He's probably top 6, in my opinion. So the defensive side of the ball, I think, is where they're pretty underrated because they have very good players. They have, in my opinion, the 3rd best pass rusher in the NFL. If you guys don't know my rankings, it's TJ Watt, then it's Nick Bosa, then it's Myles Garrett, and 4th I have Micah Parsons. That's my top 4. Hopefully, David Ojabo slides in there at some point in his career, but that's a topic for another day. But they already have Myles Garrett, elite defensive player. Almost every year, he's one of the favorites to win Defensive Player of the Year. He's a dominant force. He was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. Now, opposite that, they have Zadarius Smith, who is a sack machine and helped that Vikings defense have a good pass rusher playing alongside Danielle Hunter. And it's tough to get a better player to play alongside than Danielle Hunter, and he somehow did it. He's playing alongside Myles Garrett, and he is going to put up very, very good numbers. And I talked about it the other day when I brought up, should the Ravens re-sign Marcus Peters? Because in that video I talked about, I don't believe, going after secondary is the best, because the best way to help your secondary is to get a great pass rush. Because if you have a pass rush, guys don't have to cover. They have a pass rush. Their pass rush is terrifying. They probably have I would say the 2nd best pass rush in the NFL now. I think number 1 is without a doubt the Chargers with Bosa and Khalil Mack, which is ridiculous. But Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith is honestly kind of a close second, which is, again, terrifying to think that anybody could get even close to that. But You have that pass rush, and then you have good secondary players. You have Denzel Ward, you have Grant Delpit, you have Greg Newsome, who had a good rookie season. I'm not trying to hate on him. He's kind of gotten better throughout his career, in my opinion. But former first round pick out of Northwestern, who I know a lot of Ravens fans really liked. And then you have decent linebackers, right? Anthony Walker. You have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. You have, I believe they drafted somebody else. Now I got to see who they drafted. No, they did not draft any other linebackers, but they have Taki, who I know some people like. That right there is pretty good. But like this team is solid. I think everybody looks at the Browns as being the worst team in the division because it's the Browns and because the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers are just traditionally really good. I mean, the Steelers, no matter who's playing, they're a 500 team. They're not a team to be taken lightly. The Cleveland Browns are one of the most underrated teams in the NFL. And I think they're going to get high. I think they were underrated before this signing. They might get hyped up a lot. Obviously, this just happened. I don't know how the hype is going to change things. But this is a team that is going to surprise a lot of people because even last year when they had Deshaun Watson, they were losing, yes, but they were in a lot of games. And Deshaun Watson, I've talked about this before. When it comes down to game on the line, Deshaun Watson is excellent. His entire career, he's been excellent. That's how he won the national championship in college football. I believe he hit Hunter Renfrow on the game winner. I'm not 100% sure on who he threw that game winner to against Alabama, but he's always been clutch. Look at his playoff win against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. The face mask, spinning, crazy play he made in that comeback victory. He's going to win games when they are close. He was just getting readjusted to playing in the NFL. And now that he has this full offseason, I think the Ravens match up pretty well because I think the Ravens can stop the run. And they do have a good offensive line. But if I'm the Bengals, I'd be worried. If I'm the Steelers, I'd be kind of worried. More because they just don't have as good of offensive lines as the Ravens. Again, I'm not saying the Browns are better. I think the Browns are probably the third best team in the division. I think the Steelers are the worst, but they're coached by Mike Tomlin, who I believe is the best coach in the division. So they kind of even out. Again, I'm not being super Ravens hypey. I love the Ravens, guys. I think they're going to win the division. I'm just saying that right now so people don't comment that I hate the Ravens. But this team, getting Zadarius Smith makes them a contender to make the playoffs for sure. And when you have 4 teams that could very well make the playoffs, every game, every divisional game, and reminder, we play the first 3 divisional games all on the road, all in the first 5 weeks of the season. This edition made the Ravens start to the season a lot harder. I think it's a great move for the Browns. I'm really interested to see, kind of how they all play together. But this is not good news for the Baltimore Ravens. And I wanted to talk about, obviously, normally I want to make Ravens videos, but this does affect the Ravens drastically. I think the Ravens are still matching up well, but this makes it okay. You cannot mark easy win off on the Cleveland Browns this next year. I don't care what team you are. You could be the Chiefs, you could be the Eagles, you could be the 49ers, you could be the Buffalo Bills, you could be the Bengals, whatever. This is a tough team to beat. Do not mark them off. This is a great move for them. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. I'll be talking more about the Ravens tomorrow. More Ravens centric, but this is still pretty Ravens relevant. Even has a Ravens legend in it, in Zadarius Smith. Hope you all have a great